Because Ravnica Allegiance comes out, I'm gonna need, what is that?
You got
16 for the shock lands. Because that's instantly happening.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen.
Green or blue? Okay.
Should we switch it up then?
Should we change the decks? Do you want to do our top 5 Ravnica and then go?
You know what? Yeah, let's do our top 5 Ravnica picks. Actually,
Okay,
I think
cool.
this might be a really fun experience for us here. All right. So we're gonna run down basically. I just realized that I didn't move us back down to the bottom.
I mean,
That's okay actually. It seems to be working out okay.
okay.
Because we were down here, but we were blocking the deck list. But that's besides the point. I do need a little bit of water, though. I feel like I'm talking too much.
All right. So let's go into our top 5 Ravnica Allegiance with one special pick, just because Matthew is a diehard fan of Simic, and
I love me some Simic. I do.
So this is really Matthew's pick.
Yeah.
For number 6.
Yeah, this is it. The reason why I really enjoy... I like the idea of ramping. I like the idea of big things. But then I also like the idea of blue being able to control the game and being able to slow down the pace of things. And I feel like the blue-green combination is just very nice. It just never has a good feeling to it. It never really identifies clearly. Because they kind of came up with the +1/+1 counters thing. Which, it's like, oh, look, it's mutation. It's evolving. You know? It's like... It's never really fully, like... good. But with the couple of cards that we picked here, it really embodies what I want from Simic. So, with that being said, this is my honorable mention. I just think this card's going to be fantastic in Standard. It's going to be great in Constructed. Anything that's running, it's going to be hard to run in 3 colors. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to run in 3 colors. But with all the shock lands, you may be able to get away with it. The whole benefit of this is that it's really playing into some really key cards that, boom, it hits the battlefield, you counter a spell, and it doesn't say non-creature spell. It's not
very
specific.
Generic. It's a counterspell.
Counterspell. Great. It's very unique with double green and double blue. So there is sort of that appeal to it where, you know, it's not the best, but that's okay.
I think it is still... I think it's going to be a good card. I think it's going to have a place in some sort of Simic deck that we're going to see in Ravnica Allegiance. I don't know what kind, but we did see... What was that other card that had a flash counter spell? It was released a few sets ago.
Probably not enough for me to remember it then.
Anyways, it was a flyer, I think it was. Like I said, I'm not totally familiar with these old cards, but a flash counterspell flyer was a very big deal back in the day. And
are you trying to say Torrential Gear Hulk?
I don't think it's Torrential Gear. No, Torrential Gear Hulk is not the one I'm thinking of. Oh my god, it's gonna bug me. It will come to me. I may have to go on my phone and figure it out. But that being said, it was a good card back then, and this is fundamentally very similar to that card. So I think it's gonna have a place somewhere.
I think so. All right, let's now we're gonna actually get into the top 5 cards that we picked. So we picked these a couple different ways. First, just sort of like the cooler cards, like the coolest cards that we like in the set. Second, what do we think is going to be competitively viable in either decks that exist currently or don't exist? And with the creation of cards like this, it's very likely new archetypes, new deck types are going to come out. We're seeing the other 5 guilds of Ravnica. The other 5 that are going to be coming out in Allegiance in these cards. So we're going to go to our 5th place card here. So this one that's with Gruul. We'll let Daniel his take on this card.
So Gruul is going to be one of the 5 that they're really focusing on in the new Ravnica Allegiance. So once you play Nikia, we have a 5 converted mana cost for a 5/5, which is kind of nice. Legendary creature. You can't cast non-creature spells, so that's going to be anything else besides creatures. So Gruul naturally is very creature heavy.
Yeah, it definitely has the flavor of like, we don't care about magic. We
have
beasts.
We are brawn and beasts. We're gonna attack your face.
Yes.
You're gonna have a bad time. We're gonna have a good time.
Exactly, that's the vibe.
The interesting thing is really the second passive effect of the card. When you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produces. So if you could think of any sort of big creature, take the fact that this card is only 5 mana, take a 10 mana card. we're going to have the same 5 lands can now summon a 10 mana card.
Yeah.
This card is the ramp queen.
Absolutely. It just feels so Gruul. The vibe of it is fantastic. It really promotes the ramp vibe of things. It does also could see a place in a new teamer ramp, where that would be red, green, blue, where you would be not necessarily focusing on the blue part of it as much, but more so about being able to play things like this and then being able to just get like Carnage Tyrants out, get 2 Carnage Tyrants out on turn 6. And things like that would just be ridiculous.
Exactly. So I could totally see some sort of teamer ramp being a thing, and that is going to be further exemplified by our number 4 pick.
Yeah. Should we jump into number 4?
Sure. Our number 4 pick is Growth Spiral.
No.
This is one of the cards that was released early on in the spoiling sort of weeks. As soon as I saw this card, I was going nuts, and it's a common, which is insane. You would think that top 5 Ravnica Allegiance cards these guys are going to be talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Only mythics. No, absolutely not. I think Growth Spiral is going to completely shift metas and really have some sort of Simic, Teamer, some sort of...
Even Bant walls,
anything.
That's going to be a big thing now too, is that you're going to be able to take cards like this and say, hey, you know what? Cards that were not as good, Circuitous Route, which was a 4-drop, that allowed you to take 2 lands out of your deck, never really fit because Growth from the Ashes was a 3 that ramped you automatically into 5 on your turn 4. So there was never a good spot for this. But this, at an instant speed, it's a cantrip, so it replaces itself with draw a card. Then you get to play another land. Now, the condition of this is that you do need to have the land in your hand.
Yes.
So that, and when I say weakens it, doesn't really weaken it, but it needs to be in your hand. You can't fish it from your deck like other types of ramps. So this card in particular, really excited to play with because it's just going to be good in so many different decks. I am excited. First thing I'm building is a Simic deck. That's a given. But it's going to work in Teamer and it's going to work in Bant for sure. I don't know if there's going to be a place for this in something in a Sultai list, which would be the green, blue, black. It doesn't really want that sort of feel to it. Ramp is good in most decks that want it.
Yeah.
But I don't see it being huge in anything but Teamer or Band particularly.
We did play our Teamer control list in one of our earlier streams.
Yeah.
And you bet your ass that
going right in.
This is going to run maybe 4 of these cards.
Oh yeah.
In that list, because really that the real goal of that Teamer control list, and it's obviously going to be tweaked up a bit with the Ravnica Allegiance cards. This completely falls within the purview of what you want.
Just not really liking where it's at.
Yeah, there we go. Better.
All right, let's jump into number 3. This one is a mythic.
Yes. So we're not going to be able to get through this without talking about the absolutely busted mythics that have been spoiled for Ravnica Allegiance, and this is definitely one of them.
I'm not going to say it's like Niv Mizzet, which is probably the best mythic from Guilds of Ravnica, but it's up there. It's an insanely good card.
So just to run this card down, it runs a new the new Rakdos mechanic. They're calling it Spectacle.
Yeah.
Spectacle, just generally speaking, is not always a cheaper mana effect. It is sometimes a more expensive mana effect.
It's a second way of summoning a card.
Correct.
That's a second summoning way.
So generally it has a converted mana cost of 4 mana, the 2 blacks as well as the 2 of any color. But the Spectacle cost is 1 of any color and 2 black mana. And Spectacle really comes into play if an opponent has lost life this turn.
Yeah.
So you really wouldn't be able to play off Spectacle in many sort of control lists. Spectacle sort of forces you to run some sort of aggressive type deck.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to fit right into a Rakdos deck of sorts. Wherever it may fall, it's going to be an aggro version. Spectacle is promoting the idea of pinging off 1 damage a turn wherever you can. So something like this is just going to be super strong. Not to mention, it does generate Spectacle itself. Right? Because if we look at its second ability, aside from the fact that it's a 4/4 for 4 with Flying and Trample, which is great, which means it does combat nasty things like the Crackling Drakes.
Yeah.
It combats with those really nicely because the 4 damage value there is great. But at the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to each player. So automatically, if this is on the field, Spectacle's online.
Yep.
It's online every turn. And not to mention, there's an additional upside that if we have less than 10 life, we may be in a benefit of shocking out lands and like hurting ourselves, which we see a lot in legacy decks and modern decks. Where if you hurt yourself, then this thing's going to get stronger. So it's benefiting from the anarchy of Rakdos and entertainment value. So again, very flavorful. I really like the direction that they've gone with a lot of these cards.
For sure.
Because they're really promoting what the guild is about, which is very cool.
I think this is going to be probably the top end of some sort of Rakdos creature heavy
super aggro deck.
Yeah, like some sort of Rakdos zoo deck, I would maybe sort of say could come about with this card. I don't know how valuable the trample part of the flying is going to be necessarily. It's probably nice to have.
Yeah, it's a nice to have, but it's probably not going to be crucial.
But the fact that this could be a 3-mana flyer, have this constant damage pinging your opponent,
right?
And the fact that this could get buffed once you are down to a certain point, and roughly like your goal is really going to be to get your life down. To as well, like in addition to your opponent, but you're just going to be able to beat them down a bit faster. I think this card is going to definitely redefine Rakdos for the upcoming standard meta.
Absolutely. It's just going to be so much fun. It's going to find a home even in some Jund lists, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
That are also running this and what our number 5 pick was. Yeah. So it's definitely... It's not just going to be a one-trick pony in only Rakdos. We may even see it have play in, like, I know there's, like, the monochromatic black decks. Like, there's a lot of decks, and decks that we haven't even thought of yet that I'm sure are going to be very, very playable and very exciting to go through. Our next card is a step away from aggro.
We really are not big aggro players.
No, we're far more the mid-range control combo mill decks. Like, just some, like, sometimes janky stuff, but this one here... we're pretty excited about that. That's our number 2 pick.
So, Angel of Grace, we have a 5 converted mana cost for a 5/4 flyer, which is already pretty good.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you get the flexibility of having Flash, which is just great already.
Yeah.
And on top of that, when Angel of Grace enters the battlefield, damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1. So, if you're facing against an aggro deck, this card will be able to essentially save you for that last turn that you probably need, and that's going to be 5 damage next turn generally, right?
Exactly. So this may see play in something like a Bant Fog deck. Esper Control is probably going to be a big thing that starts coming through. So this may even see main board, like main deck, especially in best of ones.
This is something that I really talked to Matthew about. You see Esper and Jeskai run Lyra currently in their sideboard. 2 of, generally speaking.
Yep.
Like, that's a very common thing that you've seen. I very easily see Lyra being completely swapped in all these control lists for Angel of Grace. A 2-for-2 swap in all these control lists. And just simply because it's more versatile. In the sense that it can save you if you're facing against aggressive decks. Lyra can in a sense because it has the first strike and lifelink.
Yeah.
But Angel of Grace is really just that sort of clutch effect, in addition to the effect that we didn't even talk about with Angel of Grace. The fact that you could spend 6 mana and you could exile it away from your graveyard and your life total becomes 10. So once
it's a double save in a way.
Exactly. Because even if you want to pop them out just to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Block.
Just to make a block. And then you could exile him from your graveyard next turn. And then all of a sudden you're at 10. And then all of the opponent's progress is just sort of thwarted.
The nice stat line that I do note here as well. The fact that it doesn't have hexproof or anything like that is a bit unfortunate in that point of view. But I was thinking of it as like it comes in, flashes in, can block Niv. It can flash in and block those bigger creatures, again, like Crackling Drakes, things that are in the air, and even like our number 2 pick, for example, or number 3.
Yeah.
Right? So the Spawn of Mayhem, it can block things like that. So it's going to have some nice diversity with that. I am missing the 5 life on this. Like, that's not Lyra.
Yeah.
Because 5 life was sort of the critical mass at least in limited,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
In Guilds of Ravnica, where it was you needed the 5 life. As soon as you hit that, that's why everyone was talking about Wishcoin Crab being like silly because it had the 5 life. It was like, oh my god, it avoids Lava Coil, it avoids
exactly.
Like all those
and
things.
5 life really matters, 100%. So that is really the biggest downfall of this card, and probably why it is not our number 1. Addition to the fact, I guess, another downfall of this card, it reduces damage to less than 1. There's a very important niche that we could really address here. Damage is different than losing life.
Yeah.
So there are some cards, I'm trying to think of a good example I can on top of my head. There are some black cards that directly make someone
Opponent
lose life.
loses 2 life.
That would go past Angel of Grace. I don't think it is a huge downfall because really Angel of Grace is really just trying to be a stopper of aggressive attacking damage. That's really the goal of Angel of Grace.
Yeah.
I don't see that niche being particularly important or making much of a difference.
Fair enough.
In standard play at least. But that's just an important niche I want to address. And now we're going to go to our number 1. Yes. 100% yes. When this card was spoiled, I lost my mind at the fact that it's a 4-mana Planeswalker.
4. That's
dropping
crazy.
on with 5 loyalty. I can't even. I don't even know the last Planeswalker that had that kind of loyalty immediately.
They've been sticking to the formula, and this one kind of fits that formula of 5 mana, 5 loyalty, a +1, a -3, and a -8. Like that's sort of the formula they've been doing lately. Teferi has that. What's his name also has that. Ral has that,
Vivian?
for instance. Vivian. So like a lot of those ones are just like very straightforward. This one follows the same thing: +1, -3, -8. But it comes on turn 4, which is very exciting because again, this comes in before the turn 5 or of our 5th pick, right? Where you can no longer play non-creature spells. You get Domri out, and then you get out your big creature as well on turn 5.
Yeah.
+1. The new keyword for Gruul is Riot. Either it gets +1/+1
or haste.
Or haste. It's just gonna bring a brand new version of Gruul that we have not seen really at all, except if you run into it as a homebrew where someone is just trying some stuff out for fun because they've hit the floor ladder where they can't drop any further. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna run out a Gruul deck. Who cares? Let's just try and see what happens.
The +1 immediately makes me think of another standard Planeswalker, Sarkhan.
Yeah.
It is. So the reason why it is worse than Sarkhan in one way is the fact that Sarkhan could give you mana of any kind, and it would be 2 of it.
Yeah.
But Domri has more flexibility in the sense that it could be on any creature, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, this is definitely going to be ran in some sort of deck that's going to benefit from the Riot effect.
Mid-range Riot, basically.
Definitely some sort of mid-range Gruul deck just based off of this +1. I totally see Domri being a 3 of, maybe a 4 of.
Oh yeah.
In some sort of mid-range Gruul deck. Maybe even Jund, once again.
Yeah.
I could see, I'm definitely going to tinker myself with a mid-range Jund deck. Simply because of how good Domri is. And also there's been other cards that we haven't really shown you guys today. But there's been some really cool Riot Gruul cards that have been released and spoiled so far. The -3 is a little bit interesting as well. It's similar to Vivian.
Yeah.
Once again, it's sort of in that flavor. Vivian lets you get either a land or a creature.
Yeah. But only one.
But only one.
This one says 2.
2 creature
Reveal
cards.
it to 2 and put them in your hand. Like, it's gonna promote the person who's just running straight up creatures and just saying, like, I'm gonna splash in like 3 or 4 non-creature spells. But running like 25 or 30 creature spells in their list. It's gonna be fantastic. Because even if this finds you a Land War Elves or something like that, just getting stuff out of your deck to cycle things through, and it's counting as card draw. His -3 is a card draw, right? It's a card draw of 2. And whatever deck that wants to build that way, it's gonna be great. Now, his -8, not super exciting, still very good. because the key is each end step, not your end step. So as soon as you emblem him, he does emblem on the 4th turn that he's out on the field.
Yep.
So you're talking that you're going to get a 4/4 at the end of your turn with trample. At the end of their turn, you're going to get a 4/4. And then you're going to have 2 4/4s to attack with on your next turn, basically.
I think this -8 is really powerful. And the reason why is we've seen a lot of other planeswalkers, and the one I'm going to really just reference on top of my mind is either Ral or Teferi.
Yeah.
Both of them have a strong -8.
Yeah.
And both of them set them up to win the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Neither of them are immediate victories.
That's it. Game. I'm done.
Once you see this emblem, I personally don't see how an opponent would not just concede.
Yeah, because how are they going to deal with 4/4s coming out to a turn in essence?
Exactly. And Teferi's the same in that sense. Like, Teferi's just going to start getting rid of all your lands.
Yeah, you just start sucking things up. See you later.
And then you're just like, I give up. I want to go.
Right.
I want to have a nice cup of cocoa. I want to go in the corner.
That's it. I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
I'm going to close Magic the Gathering Arena. I'm going to just take a bath. Okay, anyways. And Ral, once again, is kind of similar in that sense as well, too, right? Ral's -8 is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Deal 4 damage, draw 2 cards whenever you play a spell. Once again, it doesn't win you the game immediately.
No.
But the threat of that emblem
it puts you on the path to win.
100%. Like it's I think if you get emblem, you simply win the game. Personally, with Teferi, Ral, and now Domri, emblem equals win, in my opinion.
The only time it didn't is, and if you caught our YouTube video that we posted, that was Vraska's -8, so the little Vraska.
Yeah.
Where if you take combat damage for the rest of the game, you lose.
Yeah.
We managed to save that off, and if you haven't caught that video on YouTube, it's on our YouTube channel. It is a really fun video. We're playing an Izzet tempo deck. Not your typical Izzet Drake's deck or anything like that. It's not running anything funky like that, trying to cheat things out. But it does try to get Niv Mizzet just going off. That's the whole point of the deck. It's main decking 3 Nivs. Really fun. If you haven't checked out that video, go ahead and do so. And let us know what you think in the comments there. If there's something that we could have missed or played a little bit better. But there's some really fun stuff when we were playing that. So aside from that, those are sort of our top 5 picks.
That's it.
We probably each of these cards is like a 4 out of 5 minimum.
Oh yeah.
In terms of value and what's going to happen with them. So really excited to have shown you guys these cards. You can definitely check out the rest of them that have been spoiled on Wizards.com. They're posting all the cards are listed there. So check those out if you haven't, if you're interested in something. And for people who weren't interested in the 5 guilds that were introduced recently, these next 5, if you're a fan of aggro, I think you're gonna have a great time, right? And we're definitely gonna play some drafts when it gets released, because we want to get a feel of the limited environment right away. We think that the limited environment is going to be really cool as well with Ravnica Allegiance coming out. So there's going to be some really fun stuff coming out. With that being said, I think we could jump back into some Magic the Arena. I think we'll take a quick break, though. We'll be back in 2 minutes or so. We'll take a quick, quick break. We'll be back in a bit.
See you guys.